A special thanks to Solon Angel, who has come all the way from Canada to be with us and to share his experiences from across the world. Just to go step back a little and talk about Sama Audit Systems and Softwares Private Limited. The company is focused on improving business processes, ensuring business excellence for organizations in the country and nearby region. So the verticals where we are focusing are, one vertical is data analysis, second vertical is continuous control monitoring, the third vertical is risk management, and fourth, of course, the entire improving business processes and improving the governance practices for the organization, which is of course linked with the first three that I mentioned to you, all of you. Now, you would be knowing that at Sama, we have been carrying out open enrollment workshops, so we would have done more than 200 workshops in the last 10 years, where we have invited experts from around the world, like Dr. Dale Cooper, who's the author of the Australian-New Zealand Risk Management Standard, Barry Leithhead, who was the author of the Competency Framework from Institute of Internal Auditors, Florida, and so on. And we have also been inviting chief internal auditors from industry in India to share their experiences and their knowledge with other professionals in the country. Similarly, in data analysis and continuous control monitoring, we have a partnership with CaseWare, which is the leaders in business intelligence and audit software. So we have been successful in having a very dominant #1 position in terms of data analytical tools in the country. In India, the CAG, CGA, a lot of government organizations, a lot of private sector organizations use these tools and also take a lot of consulting from our consulting resources to ensure that they improve the business processes and they help in better governance of these organizations. Similarly, we also conduct various consulting projects in the IT audit domain. Now, this was in short what I wanted to mention about Sama Audit Systems and Softwares Private Limited. Now, coming to specifically IDEA, because this is the second Asian IDEA Users Conference, we at Sama believe that it is important to disseminate information and make available to auditors and finance professionals and other professionals knowledge about data analysis. So it is not the tool alone which is important. So along with the tool, you will find that over the years, we have got 2 publications from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which are various case studies that we have seen in various sectors where we have worked with the institute, and we have come out with those publications which are available across their publication counters in India for the professionals to look at. We have worked with various government organizations like National Institute of Financial Management, NIFM, which is a government institute, INGEF, which is a training academy for CGA, where we regularly train government auditors in the country so that they can become experts, they can become better at data analysis for various data that they mine or they look at in their job profile. Other than that, we run a special Google group where we have got more than 500 members presently. So there again, our endeavor is to ensure that the most recent information is available, tips are available, basic tips are available to users across the region. So we have made an endeavor in the last 10 or 12 years, which is unique, which is different from many other regions in the world, where we have come out with a lot of material, resources, which are available to our users so that they can become better users. Now, with that very short introduction, I'd like to introduce Solon Angel, because I do not want to intrude on his time. I'll just quickly introduce Solon Angel for you. His education is Carleton University, École de Management Leonardo da Vinci. He is responsible for steering the IDEA service strategy as well as managing a team of consultants remotely delivering projects across the world. Now, why Solon Angel is important to us today is that he has a wealth of experience in delivering IDEA server projects, IDEA projects across the world, different continents, different companies, different cultures. Very important. because there will be a lot of learnings for us from him. That is why if you look at his sessions, he will be introducing about CaseWare, what's the strategy in future, how are things going to shape up in the future. There's the first session. He's going to give us some snippets about Idea 9, version 9, and then he's going to talk about case studies of Idea Server implementations from across the world. I think that's a very interesting part that we should latch on to. He has got over 10 years of experience in promoting, implementing, and adding value to corporate softwares. He is currently responsible for steering Idea Server's business strategy, applying nearly a decade of high-tech project experience, including building data analysis platforms, CRM systems, development systems, establishing technical partnerships, selling corporate solutions, designing IT infrastructures that spans a wide range of businesses, such as a high-growth Silicon Valley startup, Fortune 500 companies, and governments worldwide. Outside of office, this is something we should know about a person. Outside of office, he enjoys new languages, English, French, Portuguese, fluent in Spanish, and I think to the Angolan delegation, he knows very fluent Portuguese. So, and helping small and medium organizations increase their efficiency by leveraging low-cost or open-source software solutions. I think this is, you can clap for us because this is our vision that he came here, because we wanted to make it together. The specialties, of course, for Solon is business analytics, big data, business intelligence, corporate sales, ERP, CRM implementations, ETL, data warehousing, project management, SQL Server, Windows servers, virtualization, and SaaS. So I think that's a lot of experience packed into a young man. So Solon, all yours.
It's a pleasure, as always, to be in Mumbai, especially for the second IDEA conference. I have to say that it's a really pleasure to work with Deepji. I've known him for a few years, and I have to call him, I hope, my friend. And what's great with working with Deepji is that not only you have a subject matter expert in analytics, but also someone with true domain expertise in auditing, enterprise risk management, as you can see by his various publications and engagement in the community. So it's really an honor for me to be here and work with Deepji. There's always something to learn by working from Deepji, and his thought leadership in the domain that we are in internal audit and in risk management is really appreciated. It makes an ideal partner for CaseWare in India and in various places around the world, and we look for more of this type of events and even more interactions with Deepji on that matter. So thank you again for hosting us with the whole team of SAMA Audit, which is great. Thank you very much. So today, Deepji asked me to share with you a bit what is happening in the CaseWare world, beyond India and beyond Angola, in the rest of the world. What are we doing with our technology and with the user base? And what is the strategy for us to drive the profession to a new level of efficiency via our technology? So we'll go through three first phases this morning. The first part of the presentation, I'd like to talk to you about the customer and the state of the industry. After that, we'll move to the product evolution and our approach to future developments. So I'd like to welcome and share with you that we had an exciting year. We have new customers that come to join us. Some of them names that you might recognize here, such as Nasdaq, Christie's, Grammeenphone locally. And it has been a very, very exciting time for us, because as for a long time we believed that we can drive a revolution in higher efficiency and push the profession to a new level. This has been validated and keeps being validated over the years by various key institutions. We have renewed partnership as well, not only with one of the largest Big Four in the world, which is KPMG, and where our consultants regularly visit their offices and help them to, again, not just serve their need and the delivery of services, but also educate and share their expertise with other key players in the industry. So for example, KPMG holds regularly a data analytics challenge where some of their top auditors and top data analytics experts all meet for a few days together in a conference where the game is to find the best way to use analytics for auditors. And of course, they will test different software, and always idea shines and stands out of the pack in those events. And so we are very happy and proud to have them as partner and as a customer at the global level. We've also increased our presence and our partnership with Rutgers University. If you go on the website, you'll see we are very present at their symposiums in New York and work with them as close as we can in always keeping up to date with the industry standards and what is happening in the academic world. If you look on the body of knowledge in the industry, such as the IA or ISACA and other institutions, you will see that most of them have evolved and accepted now that data analytics should be a key part and key component of the auditor's briefcase for a while now. In fact, they have released several publications that covered the very specific topic of data analytics in internal audit and also for external auditors and for corporations. I would invite you to look at their website and download the GTAG PDF and report, where you will see the global technology guide from the IA that covers exactly in detail how the technology of analytics can help drive better results and accurate reports from audit. Beyond the IA report, ISACA also has a report on what would be the perfect evolution of using analytics in internal audit and what is the value it brings to the business. Some of the standards related to the IA go around identifying information, but not beyond this, also how to act upon it. And this is where you'll see some of the latest products that have joined the CaseWare world are specifically designed with this, with CaseWare Monitor, which I'll cover later in the presentation. The standard 2320 goes even more in detail with highlighting that auditors should base their conclusions and the results on appropriate analytics and evaluation of all the data reviewed. So again, those publications are available now if you are an IA member and on various websites. The analytical procedures have all now been very clearly identified that analytics is often a starting point for an audit. When you look at the database grid, you might not see a lot, but it's key components, and in IDEA, you can directly browse and do data discovery directly on the database without even browsing through the grid. You can import the data, look at it, and IDEA will tell you automatically if there's any zero items in the database. Those types of evaluations are really important before you start even going deep into analytics. In terms of industry application, the American Association of Certified Fraud Examiners has a report to the nations that they publish every year. And in that report of the nation, there's a very specific section around the fraud and how much fraud is happening in the world today. I invite you to have a look at this because you will see that some industry has quite a significant higher amount of fraud than others. And this is where we think that our technology shine. It is no mystery when you look at our customer base that a lot of them comes from those industries very prone to fraud and where fraud is very costly, such as banking and telecommunications. So the industry applications of the technology that CaseWare delivers has a wide range of applications today. It goes all the way to implementing SOX or COSO guidances, or simply as well ISO processes in some contexts for business operations and business process improvement. You will see on our website a lot of, and DeepG has even more material to offer with you. There's a lot of different type of analytics that can be applied depending on the industry you're in. So we won't go into detail today because this is not supposed to be a workshop, but I invite you to contact DeepG more in detail if you have specific questions related to an industry. Every different type of industry usually requires a different approach, and we have a wealth of experience in this matter. So where do we go from there? Well, as I said, data analytics have been recognized for now a little while in the industry. But beyond internal audit, your expertise, as you will see by the material put in the binder, is very much in valued and in demand across corporations. Data scientists, data analytics specialists are becoming a rare commodity. There's an explosion of data in the world, and that places us, CaseWare, some Audit, and yourself, users of IDEA, at a very critical point here of what can be done to help corporations tackle some of those big data challenges. Many times, I have a strange background. I was an IT specialist and a technologist who switched to the dark side and talked to the business people and the auditors now. So when that transition happened, I remember the times I used to do a lot of data analysis using the IT tools. And I was shocked when I came to the world of IDEA of how easy to use it is and how very quickly you can get to the point with it. And I remember the first time an auditor showed me how he used IDEA, and that auditor was my wife. I was very surprised that she knew how to do data analytics better than me, and she was not technical. This is really where the power of IDEA and your domain expertise delivers substantially higher value for organizations to cut through the mass of data they have, find anomalies, find fraud, and help them to run better operations. So this is the core of our product, IDEA, data analytics for auditors. And beyond this, the product has evolved today with offering collaborative data analytics for auditors with IDEA Server. IDEA Server was really a need coming out of our customers that asked us to extend their reach to the data centers and to larger data sets in a more secured way. It does everything IDEA does and more. Beyond IDEA Server, IDEA has evolved over the years, and we have now Smart Analyzer, which basically allows you not only to do data analytics, but allows you to, within the application directly, have all the steps and prepackaged analytics that you can deploy and run without knowing fully how to use the tool. Beyond those two products, we have many exciting opportunities. We have a large user base in the world that keeps asking us for new functionality, new implementation, new feature in IDEA, and new products. And this is why we have the latest product that joined the family a couple of years ago, which is CaseWare Monitor, where we entered in the CCM market with a very strong product that allows you to have a lot of application and host several organizations, sometimes in one implementation. The CaseWare Monitor product and continuous monitoring really was a game changer for us because we were able to leverage a lot of our experience with IDEA script and apply it not just with an internal audit, but across a whole corporation or several corporations. In fact, if you look today, GBG will give you some examples locally, but we have organizations running one implementation of Monitor and several companies being put on the platform with several internal audit groups and several financial analysts. So in those situations, the returns of an implementation of continuous monitoring shows up after a year, obviously. As you go and implement the platform, the true benefits of the platform are showing after a few months of usage while you fine-tune the processes and while you implement more controls. So our core focus for the future, and this is what we really want to focus on in the short term and the long term, we want to make sure that we align with your expectations. When we make you successful, you're happier. When you're happier, we're happy. This is really our core motto since the beginning. IDEA was created by an auditor and a group of auditors for auditors. This is not a tag word. If you do some Google search very quickly, you will see that our CEO and one of the big person behind IDEA was an auditor, and he's always keeping in mind what makes sense for the profession, not just build technology for the sake of it. And this is, I think, what differentiates truly CaseWare solutions. CaseWare accounting software, working papers, CaseWare IDEA, CaseWare Monitor, all those products have behind them leaders that have been in the profession, that have been auditors, that have been accountants. They have an accounting designation. And this shows in the product, where you have a true domain expertise that transpires while you use the product. We want to extend our capacity to deliver fast analytics and to extend the performance of all the products and keep making it as easy to use as possible and easy to integrate in data centers. so that when you go and work in banking, for example, you can acquire data from different sources quickly, ever faster, and even with less effort. So today, the latest version, IDEA version 9, really delivers on that promise. And it has great new features for the desktop product and for the enterprise product with IDEA Server. We've created and revamped completely the user interface to have a stronger experience when you use the product. You have less file management to do with the libraries, and we are increasing the pace of our releases that is delivered to you so that you can see new developments and new functionality put even faster in the product. IDEA version 9, beyond a new interface, also offers key core new functionality that are more put towards the front in terms of automation. You can now synchronize between the desktop and IDEA Server easily. You can automate the analytics with one right click. So all those easy-to-use functionality that might seem very simple actually has behind it months, if not years, of work for the developers to make it always easy to use, but at the same time very powerful. In technology, there's always a challenge of complexity and power. If you want to make something used by many people, try to make it as simple as possible. But when you do that, you remove the power capacity of the platform to do all the different options. We always strive to make it as easy to use as possible without losing core functionality. So in terms of roadmap and where IDEA is going to evolve for the future, beyond version 9, what you will see happening is a bit more platform compatibility. Windows 8 has been released by Microsoft, and version 9.1 has been released already and is compatible with Windows 8. It's also touch-friendly, as we've redesigned the user interface, then you're able to navigate through the ribbons and core functionality of IDEA with your finger. Beyond this, we also, again, to increase the speed and make it even easier to access data, we are updating the ODBC dialogues, bring 64-bit version of IDEA to the market, and more Smart Analyzer apps. There's a marketplace in Smart Analyzer that allows you to purchase audit apps directly within IDEA. On the midterm, you will see more compatibility of more possibility of integration of data in and out of IDEA. You'll be able to connect directly to IDEA databases from other software packages if need be, especially for reporting purposes in IDEA Server. We're going to have an Arabic version of IDEA delivered soon as well. On the longer term, our core focus is going to be in delivering predictive analytics and more advanced analytics. Again, this is just a response to what we've already done with version 9. In version 8, for some of you that are familiar with version 8, we had a plugin called Advanced Statistics. This is now part of version 9, directly the product. And we're going to extend on those statistical tools even further in the future. Beyond this, again, what I think is very important to acknowledge with IDEA is that there's almost no limitations in terms of records you can process. So with no limitations usually means higher volumes of data being put on the platform. And this is why we're going to keep working and making our core engine even faster. 2013 for us was the year of the enterprise products. IDEA Server and CaseWare Monitor were completely revamped and re-enhanced to allow you to do even more with them. On the IDEA Server side, as you can see, we have a completely new framework and an enhanced engine with a new type of database. Virtual databases allows you the best manageability possible on the platform, especially dealing with large data sets. The top features that people are requesting today and that we're implementing in IDEA Server, speed, search, and more accessibility of the results is the key drivers for the platform. CaseWare Monitor has been as well not only redesigned the framework, but also have a completely new engine. It was actually a complete rewrite of the application to make it faster, better, and easier to use. The key request we have today on this is search as well, but interactive visualizations. And this is something that you will see with new panels available as of 4.1 that is going to be released in this winter. The key promises that we want to deliver with those products and IDEA Server is better IT operations and integration, and with Monitor is better business processes and operations management. So the enterprise roadmap is more or less aligned with the IDEA desktop, but bringing the fight of data analytics in the data center with the right tool and the right power you need. So for this, you will see very soon, in a matter of months, a 64-bit version of our product for IDEA Server, which will bring a new class of data analytics in the data center. Cloud analytics, more visualization and reporting, and you will see even more applications being input in Monitor and IDEA Server, with both versions working seamlessly together. Very soon, you will see appearing a new package available for users that want to have a team and want to start working effectively with the whole breadth of the solution in one straight solution available. It's a new package, IDEA Team Solution, which will include a quick start package of services and data acquisition services, and will allow you to get started right away with our help and the help of some Audit and DeepG, and get working very quickly and implement the technology as fast as possible. So the new releases upcoming before the end of the year will be 9.11, which has, as usual, less bugs. We always work at fixing bugs, but also a new DBC dialog. 9.2 will see some key functionality being introduced, such as the most advanced fuzzy logic in the market. This is something we're very excited to deliver, as we've been thinking and working about it for a while now, and it's backed by popular demand to a new level. You have the possibility as well to archive the projects of IDEA Server and IDEA if you want to embed them in your reports, have new visualizations, and then improve load balances and more support for different types of Microsoft Office files. So when you think about what are the products that CaseWare IDEA Server, and CaseWare Monitor deliver, what are the core functions that those products do today? Well, if you think beyond the connectivity level and the data acquisition, IDEA allows you to run analytics. And those analytics are used across the whole product suite to deliver better reporting with IDEA Server and Monitor, monitoring of business processes, and do key findings. And when you find fraud or find anomalies, what do you do with it and how to take action around it? And this is where we are today. The top level beyond, beyond analytics, reporting, and monitoring, we are entering now in the phase of predictive analytics, and this is the next phase of evolution for our products. So in terms of how can you make the experience even easier for everyone to use, we've all been playing with the idea of how can we merge some of those two functions and make it easier for everyone across the whole product line. And this is what Smart Analyzer version 9 brings. In version 8, Smart Analyzer was confined to the desktop for auditors that had a very specific set of instructions to perform. But we were not necessarily delivering it on the data center in an automated, nor on a schedule. With version 9, Smart Analyzer is combining the functionality of both the power of data centers with the automation, with as well the domain expertise baked into the product. So this is today where we are with version 9. Beyond version 9, there's some key enhancements that are going to be made and that we're doing research on. We're increasing the capability of the core engine of IDEA to have more support for decimals, to have full international support, where there won't be an American version and a Unicode version, but just one version. And we're going to bring a new type of report within IDEA. We're very excited, without saying too much about this, those key features that we're starting with version 9 are going to be accentuated even more with version 10. And the library enhancements that you've seen with version 9 are going to be brought even forward even in an easier to use way, where we might have the ability to read IDEA data without necessarily have IDEA fully installed. So today, there's one product that I think for us is very important, and for you as well, is how do you do when you want to start running through a set of analytics and you don't know necessarily how to use IDEA, or when you're starting using IDEA in a new way. And this is where our Smart Analyzer is designed for. Smart Analyzer is designed for the one-click analysis. So for example, if you want to find duplicate entries in a general ledger, in IDEA, you might be able to do that with 2 or 3 very simple tasks. But if someone is a brand new user and just want to click on one click, select and have a report produced for him, this is what a smart analyzer will do. So if you think in terms of segregation of duty for SAP, this is not something simple, but smart analyzer automates entirely the whole analytical process and asks you in a smart way, where is the information, how can I acquire it, and even sometimes include the whole extract, transform, and load process for you. So the development of smart analyzer and the applications that you'll see in the smart analyzer marketplace are designed to be audit driven. If you have suggestions, if you have challenges that you think there must be a better way, or you think you should not have to repeat this effort, feel free to talk about it with DeepG and the Summer Audit team. Talk to us, we'll work with you. If there's a potential to help you develop your own custom smart analyzer apps, we will enable you to do so, as we have a smart software development kit available for smart analyzer. So we are looking today right now, and we're implementing specific solutions by industry, by area, and by type of audit. And those different applications are available in the smart analyzer marketplace as we go. The goal for us is to deliver a higher value for you to use every day beyond the simple analytics tool. And when you think of, in terms of the potential of smart analyzer and what can be done within it, we can do many, many sophisticated tests that today will require, beyond IDEA and analytics, even more custom coding. With smart analyzer, we now have a framework where we can build those apps, those packages within IDEA and make it available for everyone to use. So we can do, for example, lean regression or cluster analysis, and everything that will leverage predictive analytics or specific type of analytics that might not be available out of the box will be packaged in a specific smart analyzer app. So to do this, we are extending our collaborations beyond and within the IDEA and the CaseWare offices. So we have, as I said, Rutgers University and also other universities in the US and Europe are working with us at determining what are the most urgent applications and smart analyzer apps that the industry needs. We also have power users in the Canadian Revenue Agency and other tax authorities around the world that are suggesting to us applications that will be useful for them and also for the industries that are about to be audited by them. And we've just appointed Dr. Yong Yang as our chief scientist to do extensive research on predictive analytics as well as statistical tools to leverage the full capacity of IDEA across different industries. So one example of those applications is visualization, where today some people might, in some situation, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And with the latest prototype of smart analyzers, we have an app right now that allows you to analyze individuals and represent them graphically very easily. Those applications, again, are an example of what can be done with smart analyzer framework, where we can embed even third-party components within it and deliver it for your business. So our approach in all of the development of our products is very simple. We try to provide a solution and a functionality for all the different types of users across the whole organization. So without mentioning the name of the bank, but yesterday we were visiting a local mid-sized bank that was talking about how many users they have across the different situations. And you might have in an organization a few IDEA champions, people that have used IDEA for years and then master 100% of it. But there's sometimes a JavaScript developer, data analytics specialists, auditors, and business users that all consume the data coming out of IDEA that sometimes need to interact with it, but don't necessarily know and need all the functionality of IDEA. So our approach to the product development, especially when you think in terms of monitor, is to still use the core expertise and the core of a product, but extend the reach and extend the total ability to provide insights to the whole organization. So yesterday we were talking, for example, to a bank that might have 1 to 5 idea champions and developers, around 5 to 10 data analytics specialists and auditors, but 20 auditors, I believe, or 20 to 30 auditors, but above 1,000 users at the end of the implementation of CaseWare Monitor. So when you think about this today, if you have an organization with 3 to 5 data analytics specialists of IDEA, you might have a situation where there's 1,000 people behind you waiting for your reports and the insights you'll provide. This is the type of power and value the CaseWare technologies with the help of some Audit can deliver to those organizations. So to deliver fully on the promise of serving everyone with insight and with results that are relevant for them, we have a few technological challenges to go above and to confront today. One of it is that the power available in systems, in CPU and RAM, has grown very strongly, but the power available for data analysis has not. When you look at the disk capacity, the CPU speed, and the memory size that has grown from 200 to 16,000 times since 1980 to 2009, and you look at the latency of disks without storing the data, they've only doubled. So really what that means is that all the advances in computing and computer sciences of the last 20 years have been focused in an area that is not necessarily most suited for data analytics. So this is a real challenge for us. And this is what we work at every day. How can we leverage and maximize disk latency and disk transfer rate to have the highest performance possible for IDEA? So our strategy and the evolution of the product is really designed at not only resolving technological challenges, but also extend the power and reach of the data analytics platform across different markets by focusing on the users. So this is really a core concept for us, is to listen and to always be listening to you. So feel free to share our ideas back to DeepG and to us, because we will listen. We always are very focusing on making sure that you have the best experience and that you're very happy and delighted in using our products. This is something that we're very proud about. When users are very happy and tell us that they've saved so much time thanks to our technology, it really makes our developers, QA personnel, and management extremely happy to hear those stories. Our preferred partner, Audit in India, and I will not say it enough times, is a phenomenal partner in this path and his journey of better data analytics and providing insights. He has a great, DeepG and his team and Manish have a great presence in India with a lot of material, a lot of thought leadership, and by organizing conferences like this one, allow you to really have access to as much information as possible. And our strategy of always listening to the market, listening to the users, to what the industry does, and align our resources internally, are always working in symbiosis with our partners, such as Audit, to make sure that we are always deliver something that is relevant and serve you the best way possible via Audit. At his request, DeepG and Manish asked, at their request, DeepG and Manish asked me to share a few of the stories as to how IDEA Server is used around the world in different industries. And I maybe glance quickly over our strategy and the approach to development, because I wanted to spend as much time as possible around those case studies. So some of them, obviously, not all of them are for distribution, and this stays within our community. But if you have any questions in particular in one of the case studies I'm going to go through, don't hesitate to ask at any time or to contact me after the conference or DeepG. So we'll start with the local players and Grammeenphone, which has been one of the latest implementations of IDEA Server in India. Grammeenphone is part of the Telenor group, and the implementation has been very closely followed from Canada, helping remotely DeepG and his partners here to do a 3-day training and implement standard cases and do a procure-to-pay cycle with 14 objectives, 14 audit objectives implemented on the platform. The IDEA server platform was used to automate entirely the data sets targeted for those objectives, which was up to 30 million rows. So when you think about it, this process was manual and cumbersome has been completely automated and relying on the technology to take care of it. The tests are based on monthly runs, and there's a high availability of the data and integration with the IT platform. One of the latest implementation now outside of India that we're very excited about is with Nasdaq. Nasdaq, which is one of the leading stock exchanges in the world, has selected IDEA Server with a partnership with Grant Thornton to be the preferred choice for risk management. So when you think about high availability and high performance environments, there's nothing better than this type of customer set to put the technology through its pace. And we're very excited to start working with them. The implementation is in several environments, several IDEA servers, obviously, and they are currently transitioning from other types of analytics and migrating all the existing analytics they do into one platform, which is IDEA Server and IDEA, and do a full risk assessment and refresh the data sources to a few minutes delay. We expect a lot of feedback from this implementation and look forward to have them as a continued preferred customers in our portfolio. Not closer from here, but still important as well, the Hong Kong Jockey Club is now an IDEA Server user. And the Hong Kong Jockey Club has been a great success story as what a team of a few individuals very motivated and working closely with our partner can do for the whole organization. In this situation, 2 auditors working with us during the implementation of IDEA Server were able to not just improve their performance and stop doing manual steps every week or every month, but improve the total audit cycle of 30%. So that 2 people with the technology, the right technology in hand, can be extremely powerful and deliver substantial value. When it used to take a certain amount of time for the whole audit group to deliver a report, they now do it in 30% less time because they've cut down the analytical processing time from several days to a couple of minutes. So when you think about this and the capacity and reach you can get with the technology in bigger environments or with larger teams and a larger amount of auditors, you can have an idea of what can be done when you have partners reliable such as Sama Audit that can help you through this implementation process. In the UK, one of the implementations that we've been following very closely and has been very useful is regarding the Lloyds banking group. Lloyds has been using IDEA Analytics for many years now and keep on improving on it. Again, and I think this is very important to understand, once you implement a platform such as CaseWare Monitor or IDEA Server, it gives you a power and more possibilities which makes you not only implement analytics and have a new level of insight, but keep improving on it and delivering even more value. And that is the story of Lloyds, where they started with a couple of users, and as they extended the reach of the analytics, they also improved the analytics themselves. And now are serving various parts of the business, doing a full process over the weekend of reconciliation. At 11 p.m. every Friday night, the IDEA Analytics automatically starts. Does a phase of extraction from different systems for different line of business, does checks and counts on exceptions and identify exceptions all the way to 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. We're talking massive amount of data here. We have dozens of systems and server-based platform and running analytics. And on Saturday evening at 6 p.m., there's a load and a target sampling and reconciliation of the statements that is done in IDEA and the reconciliation based on the sampling to provide a report accurately by 1 p.m. on Sunday. All this automated. So what has started as a manual analytical process has evolved in a larger adoption of analytics in the organization. And from that larger adoption of analytics, improvement and optimization of the analytics being used manually by the auditors. But then after a certain point, it doesn't make sense to run manually those analytics. The real gain in speed and efficiency is gained by automating as much as possible those analytics. And in that sense, this is when an auditor and a data analytics specialist become transformed into a data scientist. Someone that is capable of mining through the complexity of data centers, data sources, and apply the right combination of analytics to deliver value and substantial business efficiency. So again, this is something that happens Friday to Sunday, all over the weekend, with almost no manual intervention. Another type of applications of the IDEA server platform and IDEA analytics is not just for automation and improvement of the speed of delivery, but also when you're working with a team to reduce fault and potential errors. And this is very useful in CPA firms, chartered accountants, but also in leading institutions such as tax authorities and supreme auditors, where usually those institutions are seen as fertile ground for learning and then getting another position somewhere else. There's a high turnover of employees, a high turnover of auditors. And the problem in those situations is that the knowledge of what was done in the last audit cycle is not necessarily retained. The other problem as well is when people get busy, there's a duplication of effort and the problem of visibility across the team. And before the implementation of IDEA Server at the Auditor General of Canada, this was the situation you've run into and you'll see. The Auditor General of Canada was one of the first implementations of IDEA Server. And every 2 or 3 years, they reinstall and re-enhance completely what they do with the technology, because they keep improving on it. Before moving to the IDEA Server platform, the data acquisition process was very difficult and relied on USB hard drives. It was a manual process and relied on a workstation that had parts, compartmented silos of different projects per individual, which meant it was very slow to run analytics, and the auditors did not see nor knew what was happening with their colleague. In this situation, you will have a lot of problem in terms of reconciliation and maybe duplication of efforts. Once IDEA Server is implemented, the network backup allows not to have an integration in the data center, got rid of the manual process of data acquisition, and secured it entirely. The centralization of the projects with a security mode that is appropriate allows really to make the right auditor see only the data relevant for his needs. So in this environment, you might have dozens of projects, dozens of engagement managed by IDEA Server. But if you're only working on 4 of them, why would you see the entire repository? This is what IDEA Server does. It will show you only the 4 you're supposed to have access to, which brings security to the platform. This is the difference and the type of little functionality that makes a huge difference in enabling IT departments to give you access to all the power and all the data repository you need. We've done a survey a couple of months ago with our users, asking them what was the #1 challenge they faced when they tried to use IDEA. And we were very surprised to see that the #1 challenge and #1 problem doesn't come from us, but it came actually from the data acquisition process. Multiple data files, multiple data sources, and sometimes a lack of permission to access the data directly at the source prevent the auditors from working efficiently. With the IDEA Server platform, because it will be in the data center, secured by IT, IT will be more comfortable in giving you access to the whole power and all the system you need to perform the analytics, make the analytics perform their duty as fast as possible. Beyond this, there's substantial gain of performance to be seen with the IDEA server platform. Depending on the hardware that is provided by the data center, you might have a very strong jump in the performance and the speed of analytics being delivered. So if you compare a laptop to a server nowadays, the power you have on the server is the equivalent of 30 or 40 workstations. So when IT gives you access to one server, they might demultiply the power available in your hand to run IDEA analytics. And that makes a big difference when dealing with large data sets and big data. In the case of the Auditor General of Canada, it allowed them to go from running some tasks in 10 days to 2 business days. And those, in this environment, when they were going through those audit seasons, they will fly in the auditors from all the regions of Canada. So think about all the expenses in hotels and airfare, host them until it's finished, all in one city, and then release them back in the regions. When you're talking about saving from 3 weeks down to 4 days, the return on investment was instantaneous on the platform just by the cost savings on the hotels. And it's not that the auditors were particularly very fancy with the hotel selection, it's just that there was many of them. So beyond those global case studies, there's historical users of our technology that are in different industry. Some of them that I don't have listed here, but those might be the most relevant to you. We also have Transocean that is not listed here, that is an oil company that uses IDEA server and IDEA analytics in what I find is the coolest way possible. The auditors fly by helicopter to do the audit. How cool is that? I'm going to do an audit, I get on the helicopter, and what they do is they access by satellite via remote connection to IDEA server back in the headquarters and do the audit on the platforms, on the oil platforms, directly via the internet, via satellite. This is one of the most James Bondish implementation of the technology I've heard, and quite excited. I've asked them to show me how they use and come with them by helicopter, but I cannot get an invitation. So when you think about, how far can you push the technology, well, this is how far it can go. It really fits any situation you might want it to be with the right IT infrastructure around it. So in the case of Transocean, the components were very simple. They needed internet connection from the platforms directly, from the oil platforms. And they wanted, and the auditors cannot carry with them all the data sets from all the platforms they visit. So all the data was centralized already back in Texas. And as they go from one platform to another, they simply access via satellite IDEA server, which is fully secured, and stream the IDEA user interface to the platform where they are able to go through the specific data sets for the related unit they are auditing. In other applications that are particularly interesting, in the energy services, Vectren has a very interesting business case as well. So in the case of Transocean, the key motto and what they came to ask us for was mobility. They wanted to be able to access data anywhere, anytime, even in the middle of the ocean. In the case of Vectren, it was not mobility the driver. In the case of Vectren, it was scalability. The ability to go from 3 auditors using the platform to 300 and back to 10 randomly. And the reason being is that they had a partnership with a local university, and regularly Vectren was taking many dozens of trainees from the university and students to help them with their own audit and to, in part of the collaboration with the university, to simply educate them and show them how it is in the real world. So in this situation, IDEA server was implemented with a fully virtualized backend, which means everything from the front user interface, from the IDEA server application platform, from the data engine, from the disk storage, from the security, everything was virtualized 100%, and scalable, which meant as they were adding more users, 3, 5, 10, 20, 50, automatically the platform and the infrastructure will pull from a pool of resources even more power as it needed it. And this was a great exercise for us to prove that the technology is very flexible. That with IDEA Server, the limitation, because of the decentralized model it has, the limitation on how many servers you can put is just up to the IT infrastructure. IDEA Server works with task management server and task servers, which means it's really not a centralized database system. It's a decentralized database system, and it grows as you need it. AT&T had a whole different set of approach to it. So again, you see, every customer, there's not two implementation of IDEA Server alike. Most of them are unique, and when we implement them, they're always with a very specific business goal in mind. A very specific goal, a problem to resolve for internal audit. So mobility in the case of Transocean, collaboration and turnover in the case of the Auditor General of Canada, Vectren, scalability of the team and the changing amount of team members. And in the case of AT&T, it was none of that. It was just pure, raw data size. When you think of what happened with AT&T, when the iPhone started to pick up in the US, the amount of subscribers they had using data services just exploded. And the data generated by all those new smartphones also exploded. The roaming fees, to collect roaming fees, also increased. And in the case of AT&T, they are the largest. I think they're the 7th largest company in the world. So the data sizes they have, always banking and telecommunications have the largest data sets we observe. But when it comes to the largest telecommunication company in the world, the data sizes are just humongous. And in the implementation of IDEA Server, we focus on speed of acquisition of the data and centralizing different repositories. AT&T, being in the US a predominant player, has several data centers across the US. And they had to reconcile all this before auditors can do their work. On top of this, there was a need for mobility as well. They have a roaming team of 70 auditors that travel each state to state and access that centralized repository at all times. So it was a combination of data sizes and mobility. A very interesting infrastructure to put in place and a very interesting project. The applications they use the IDEA Analytics for is tax compliant mostly. T-Mobile, again a telecommunication company now that has merged, used the platform, actually started just with one application, which was validating billing. So roaming fees, CDRs, price plans, subscribers, just validating the billing is accurate. And very quickly, there was a little game going on of competition between what the IT analyst could do and what the auditor could do with IDEA. And they've proven again and again that with IDEA, you can quickly and swiftly find answers to the questions you're going into the data better than if you had a programmer with SQL Server. And that type of value and interest expanded the implementation of the IDEA Analytics. And one of the users, one of the managers in Audit, was a very happy man because he was using IDEA technology to the full capability. He was able to allow T-Mobile to reduce the cost of $150 to $200 million. He received a nice bonus this year and a vacation to the Hawaii and for his whole family from the VP at T-Mobile. And he focused on all the rounding numbers, all the little decimals that were never being collected. He would have not been able to do that with Excel or other software of this type, not as efficiently, not as easily. And the user actually at T-Mobile, I think now he's director, actually has a very interesting story. He was one of our first users of IDEA Server in Brazil, had his consulting company in Angola, for 2 years, and then was hired by Ericsson and then T-Mobile. And very international character, and everywhere when we talk to him and ask him what is the key of his success in his career, he always said the use of idea. Because he was always better to do the job easier, faster, and better than others by leveraging analytics. And what he has allowed to do in T-Mobile is really has changed a lot of their approach to analytics and how they implement it. So those are the type of stories that make us very happy to share. And there's more as well that I have not shared here. For example, 2 months ago, we started 2 years ago a project with Cour des Comptes in France, so some of your colleagues, where they basically had dozens of idea desktops, and the amount of data that they were using just exploded, and the desktop were not suited anymore. And they moved to Idea Server. And Idea Server was really a change of approach for them on how they do things. Instead of just waiting a long time for the desktop and doing sampling, they started getting the whole general ledger of France, of the government, and started going after 100% of the sample. Shortly after, a couple of months after, you saw reports in the press finding some anomalies and issues with the way, and some suggestions from the Cour des Comptes on how to improve accountability on some of the programs by the government. With that success, they got the attention of the Ministry of Finance, who realized that the Ministry of Finance, acting as the internal auditors of the government, were supposed to have the best tools, but the external auditor was doing a better job than them. So they got jealous, which is fine for us. And they asked us to help them as well. And when we implemented the platform, and this was over 2 years, one talking to another in implementing, and I was there in June again, they're now looking, because SAP doesn't allow them to have access to some of the core insights they need, they're looking at going after the whole SAP platform and import everything through Smart Exporter, one of the plugins available with IDEA version 9, import data from SAP directly, regularly, and do massive joins and transactions to find exceptions within the SAP platforms of the government. So there's so many stories that came through this. For example, if you follow the recent news in France, there has been an increasing amount of reports provided by the Cour des Comptes, and even more subsequent action taken by the government to increase accountability and to ensure that there is no problems in the way some of the social programs are being run. So these are the types of implications and impact auditors, which are now becoming data scientists and data analytics experts, can have in organization if you give yourself the mean to do that. What we found many times is that internal auditors just look within internal audit. They get busy in the grind, right? The daily grind, what needs to happen for the year end, the next audit cycle. And seldom they share their expertise with the other departments. But the reality is that when you start doing so, you're not anymore seen as just an auditor that's going to check on someone, but you're actually seen as a valued business partner, whether it's in the government or in industries. It is always very respected when you're able to find answers for leaders and management faster than others at a fraction of the cost. And this is why we see increased adoption of technologies such as CaseWare Monitor, because this is what it allows you to do. And it can be a gradual process. So in the case of some of those companies, it's a gradual process of going from Idea Desktop to Idea Server to be in the data center, and then when you have the power in your hand to go and do more implementation. But this is not what we recommend you to do. We recommend you to look by having the big picture. Look at the big picture of what you can do for the organization. look at the big picture of where else your audit expertise might be leveraged to not just for audit, but for business processes. And to find exceptions, abnormal transactions that are suspicious. Because when you do that, it's not just a matter of being valued by the business. The department, the internal audit function changes when you do that. And you will find yourself in front of new opportunities for your own career. This is what we see today in the world. There's a nucleus of power idea users that are very in high demand because they understood that their expertise goes beyond internal audit. And they are very, very, very well thought after because the word of mouth spread. And this is what happened with this gentleman that now is at T-Mobile. From one telecommunication company, mobile industry in Brazil to Angola to Ericsson and to T-Mobile, in each of those situations, his reputation and the work he has done with the technology in one organization preceded him. And he was able to do the same again. So this is really what I'm inviting you to think about is the reach and of those, when I share those case studies with you today. It's not about just what they were able to accomplish, but what can you do with the technology today that will generate those case studies in the future. Behind each of those stories, there is promotions of individuals. Behind each of those stories, there's internal audit function being more respected. Behind each of those stories, there was a crisis in 2008. And at the time where the auditors were faced with a challenge, which was to do the same operations, but with half of the staff, a third of the staff, a quarter of the staff, the way they reacted to it not only made them better once the crisis was over, but also made them even more valuable for the organization. In the case of AT&T, the person I worked with at the beginning of the implementation 3 years ago is a manager now. She is no longer an auditor. She's a manager of audit. The person that was a director is now a VP because of the success they built on. And if you speak to them, if you look into our user community, you look to our website, to the case studies, and you ask them, what is the favorite application you use every day? Many times you'll be surprised how many times they will mention IDEA. And we're talking now to even other companies, such as Verizon. So when you think about our presence in some of the top companies in the world, in banks and in telecommunication, which are the most data-intensive companies possible, Verizon, I was on the phone with Verizon 3 weeks ago, and I asked them, what do you do with analytics? What are the top applications you use? IDEA was part of the top 2. And the director of the FAST team said that there's a few applications that always deliver and allows you to very quickly classify and find what you need to. One of them is IDEA. The other one is visualization related and reporting, and it doesn't have the same use than the auditors do. So we are very, very, very happy to have such a proud community of users, and we're very happy and eager to hear more of those stories. Those are a few stories that in almost every single of those deployments, I was involved personally with my team. But there's other teams and other distributors, other partners such as Sam Audit that do phenomenal work every day with a very committed team and a very strong focus on enabling you to do more, easier, and with the most efficiency possible. And we'd love to hear your stories. And if you have challenges and there's something you think you must be able to do with IDEA and you don't find an easy answer, please do not hesitate to come talk to DeepG or to us. We will always have a story to share. We will always try to help you in being as successful as possible. Thank you.
Any questions for Solon? I think all of you are free to go. Don't let him off so easily.
Yes.
I request everybody just ask for the slides so we get recorded.
audit.
Yes.
Can you throw some more
Yes.
how you implement it and how you achieve it and what are the benefits of that?
Yes, of course. Well, the first thing we had to do, as I said, is data centralization, because you have different divisions of AT&T. And the first challenge is always the same. It's great to have idea and analytics power, but where is my data? So in this situation, the first step we looked at is where is the data sitting, who has access, gain the permissions, put in touch the people in IT with the business need, get the buy-in into it. And once we've done that, the main benefit for it was simply that they were able to do audits and reconcile across the whole territory. You have to understand that, before they implemented that process, each state had its own team, right? And duplicating the same effort, and sometime at the end, the data did not match. They were not able to reconcile their findings. So when we have a centralized approach, the main benefit is that you get rid of those type of errors, and you have a higher level of confidence in the reports you produce. Beyond this, they were able to have one common shared platform, which means they will still keep each state and they will still have the same offices, but everything was centralized and there was cross-visibility. One of the main advantages of that is that if you've done an audit last year focusing on a specific part of the business, right? With a state, you were able to give access to that project using project overview and the history function in IDEA. You're able to redo the whole audit without starting from scratch. So when you think in terms of efficiency, if it took, let's say, 25 hours to an auditor to go and create a specific analytics run, that auditor moves on to another engagement. 1 year after, someone else comes and tries and has to figure out what he did to get to that result. He has to start over the 25 hours. Now that it's centralized and there's a corporate memory baked into the product, all he has to do is go back in time, look the name of the auditor who did the audit, and he will see the whole branch in project overview, say generate a script, done. From 25 hours to 25 seconds. So in terms of benefit, when you talk of a team of 70 auditors that are doing the same every year, you can see very quickly the amount of time savings you will see in that platform. Yes?
Regarding the idea server, can it be made in a shared basis like cloud, or it could be has to be in the system in the company itself?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Regarding the idea server, what you
Yes.
elaborated, can it has to be compulsory in the company itself, or it can be on a shared basis like cloud, on a cloud platform or something like that?
It can be hosted in different ways, but it can be scheduled for sure. I mean, if I understood your question correctly, is you're asking how can it be hosted? That it has to be internally, or can it be hosted on the cloud? Yes, we actually use a cloud-based IDEA server for our own needs when we do demonstrations. So that's the advantage that IDEA server is based on standards, on Windows Server standards. You have Rackspace, Amazon, all those cloud providers provide Windows instances, and we can leverage that very easily. So I think the latest example we had of that was actually with a data center based in the UK, and the team was actually based in south of Belgium, I think, or something like this. So you have also, when you talk of cloud, you have private clouds and public clouds, right? We never recommend using public clouds or a public cloud platform in this approach. But we have many of our users, our customers, that already have private clouds and are using IDEA server with it. AT&T and Vectren is one of them. When we talk about a fully virtualized infrastructure like Vectren, this is a private cloud essentially. The server moves from one data center to another and is replicated. There's another case study that I haven't talked about, which is the Woodruff Bank. So a bit more banking related in the US. The bank is based in south of the United States and has a data center in the Washington States, I think. I think it's in New Jersey. The reason why is because there is hurricanes happening often in the region. And part of the disaster recovery plan, the whole IT infrastructure is on the private cloud and entirely moving and rotating every 6 months. So imagine every 6 months, all the business systems, all the ERPs, all the financial applications, an idea server moves from one data center over the internet and rotate every 6 months. So you can only do that if you have a very solid private cloud foundation. And this is what they've done with Idea Server.
Recently we heard about version 9.
Yes.
Seems like we will be running out from download license to incorporate the computer corporate
Yes.
license. So we would like to some more explanation about it.
Okay. Sorry, what is the question?
We have downloads now. We
Yes.
are using download licenses.
Yes.
So maybe in the future, no download will be used.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's different type of licensing options. With IDS Server, you use a corporate license manager, and then you don't need to have individual licenses anymore. It's done by name. And there's also, in the next minor release, there will be a concurrent user licensing for IDS Server, depending again on availability in the regions. The main difference is the licensing for us. It depends also on the size of organizations. Some organizations, like KPMG or AT&T, have very different licensing needs than others, obviously. So again, if it depends on the size of how many users you have and what applications you do with it, that we have different options available for licensing. So if one specific way doesn't work for you the best, then I invite you to talk to DeepG or us, and we'll tell you what are the other options. But we have a very comprehensive licensing package possible, depending on, again, how many users, what you're trying to do with it, and the reach. In the case, for example, of AT&T, when there's a high mobile team, and you never know how many people are connected at the same time, they have a corporate license manager that broadcasts across the whole AT&T domain. Yes?
During your presentation, you mentioned about Idea Team solution somewhere in
Yes.
2013.
Yes.
Just wanted to understand that is it an extension of the functionality or it is a new product? And secondly, you mentioned something about annual licensing in that. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
DeepG?
Just to add what Rajesh ji talked about, he is from Elite Desai Consultants, which was earlier video Haribhakti company, and they have in-house Idea Server which they bought last year.
Okay. So the team solution is designed for very small teams. So maybe not the most applicable in your situation, but very small team of internal audit who have a few users that are just starting with the technology. And it's just a bundle of services in the product. It's not a new product. It's just simply a way for us to package the products with a certain amount of services and have an optimized OPEX, CAPEX mix to allow them to have access to the technology and get started quickly. So see it as a starter pack. So if you knew nothing about IDEA, and if you already have a large data problem, and you want quickly results, and not necessarily wait to go through the learning curve and things, this will be the solution for you to get bootstrapped and right away have someone to help you in the implementation and very quickly have already a schedule import, for example. So one of the first implementation with this, to test this model, the approach we have is there's 3 days of training or 2 days of training, and during the training, while the training is happening, our partner will go and create and interview people to create one scheduled analytic and implement Idea Server. So at the end of the week, the system is up and running, the schedule is in place, and there's already value being delivered to the organization. Does that answer the question?
Any other questions, please?
Can you elaborate more on smart analysis?
Yes. So Smart Analyzer has it has prepackaged analytics and prepackaged reports. So I would invite you. I mean, it's hard to talk about it, but looking at it will be much more efficient. If you look at today IDEA, if you're a brand new user of IDEA, and you want to just quickly get to the point, you might not know how to use analytics, but you know and you have domain expertise, and you know, for example, you want to find duplicate payments. Smart Analyzer basically speaks the auditor's language, and not only will know what are the analytics to run, and not only will ask the auditor, where is the data set you want to start, but will also give you the description of the audit test, what it does, what is the expected outcome, how does a suspicious transaction or record entry looks like, and all this within the application. So it's a mix of content, it's a mix of subject matter expertise and analytics together. And it can generate reports automatically for you, ready for consumption. You export them to Excel or Word, explaining not only what are the findings you have with the audit test, but how did you go about finding those audit tests. But I invite you to ask DeepG to show you more in detail how you can use it and spend more time around it.
Yeah, just to add what Solon talked about the smart analyzer, like a marketplace.
Yes.
You can use it like a marketplace. So what it does is, I think all of us relate to that better. It's like the Apple iTunes. You go to the iTunes, you have an Apple device, you can download whatever you like to hear or see, and you can use it. So Smart Analyzer, in the next presentation, my colleague Jairam will show you the tab in IDEA version 9, where there is a Smart Analyzer tab. You go to the tab, you are connected to the internet, you go to the marketplace, and you can buy whatever scripts you want to buy. Whatever tests, audit tests, similar tests which have been uploaded, generic tests or tests which are specific to your industry is available on the marketplace. So you can online make a small payment, download the script you want to use it. So it's like the Apple iTunes.
Yes.
I think it's called the marketplace.
Yes.
By Audit, by
Yes.
CaseWare, in partnership with CaseWare. So slowly, over a period of time, it's a collaboration model again. That's how we are again different from the competition, because there are few lakh users around the world, and every user has developed some tests or using some tests for auditing, for financial analysis, or forensics. And so what is happening is the common tests which a person finds can be uploaded for use by other users, which are valuable to other users, can be through a central agency like CaseWare and Auditor, be uploaded, be cleaned and uploaded as an audit test. And that will become a repository of audit tests. So users from around the world can then download it. So that has already started. Like one of the key things which Solon mentioned was the SAP segregation of duty, SOD test. It's so complex to do that. Now there's a Smart Analyzer script which is available on the marketplace. You can just download it, and on your SAP systems you can just do a SOD test, which is great. At a fraction of the price, at a fraction of the time, which otherwise an IT auditor would have taken separately.
And in addition to this, there's also two types of Smart Analyzer apps. There's the public apps and the private apps. So if you have a large organization and you want to develop, with the help of DeepG and us, a specific app, specific audit test, just available for your user in your organization, we have the ability to do that. So the way it works is very simple. When you are an IDEA user, you are registered with your email address, and only people with the domain name of your organization will see that application within the IDEA marketplace. And to have access to that, you have to purchase an access to the Smart Analyzer SDK, and we will help you build those applications. But we have a lot of interest from large corporations and companies with more than 5,000 users usually run into that category, because you don't necessarily want to share and publish all your audit processes and audit tests in the public marketplace. And we are very well aware of that. So for example, CPA firms that have their own audit methodology will create and are creating with us their own audit app, their own audit test for their internal use for their auditors, for their employees, and at the same time, they're creating lightweight version of those same app for public use that they sell through the marketplace. And that's one component we didn't talk about. But if you want to develop an audit app, an audit test or smart analyzer, and publish it, it's the same as iTunes. You can sell it directly and the revenue will be shared to you. So this is also something, if you have generated a very specific audit test, or you have an idea of an audit test, and you want to sell it on the marketplace, we can help you and train you on how to use our SDK for that. So it gives you a reach, not just to do your work faster, but also to reach through the 100,000 plus users of IDEA in the world. And if you create a great audit app, well, you'll get revenue from it.
Yes, please. Just a minute. Maybe the last question before we get, then we can continue this deliberation afterwards.
I am from banking industry,
Yes.
not from its side, from business side.
Great.
So I would like to know how exactly, how best this tool can be used for analytics and from CRM point of view, customer relationship management.
Oh, we have an example of that, actually. If you look here, in here you have CI5. This is actually customer inception point. So this is actually data that comes from the telephony operations. So in this case, there's a few more examples. I can give you probably. I think we're going to cover that in the next session. But there's a series of 6 to 8 key applications of that technology in banking. One of them is also for customer applications. In Asia, we have actually the majority of our banking customers are in Asia, in China, and in Southeast Asia. The latest, one of the longest users we have is Maybank from Indonesia, and Bank of China as well is using the technology. And they're using it for most of them for all those applications, 7 to 8 key applications. They do anything from accrued interest. They also do branch reconciliations. Some of them are using it for fraud detection at teller operations. And we had quite a few discussions yesterday with one of the banks in the region about how it can be used as well beyond the simple audit world. So there's a lot of analytics go beyond just audit, right? The auditors just happen to rely extensively on it, but what can be done with CaseWare Monitor goes way beyond that. And again, it all depends on what is your business process today. What systems do you have? And you can implement the business process in CaseWare Monitor to do very specific items that you need to do. So I invite you to, if we don't answer more cases in the next session, do ask GBG for a copy of his book on the banking, and I will send you more detail as well on what we've done with other case studies and implementation. Another example that comes to my mind is actually the Bank of Dongguan. So this is completely not related to audit. The Bank of Dongguan in China, they used the whole, they made it part of their core mission statement to use enterprise risk management technologies such as CaseWare to lower the cost of operations and reduce to the maximum the fraud to provide higher value to their customers. This is in their mission statement. If you go to their website, it will be the third line in their mission statement out of 50 lines. And this was a core strategy for them while they're about to go public and go straight in the stock market. So there's a lot of applications of the technology. One of the things they do, they actually have one of the most advanced implementation of the technology, because with CaseWare, with our total audit solution group there, what they've done is they didn't just create an application that provides reports. They actually have a dedicated web portal that has an internal forum for all the branch managers and the fraud specialists to exchange on their findings and have an enterprise risk scorecard portal that in real time, every day, updates the scorecard based on different metrics and risk analysis. So we're not talking anymore just audit, we're talking controls here, right? We're talking business processes. We're talking collaboration between the headquarters and the branches that are very disparate across China, which is a huge country like India. So there's many applications possible. It all depends how far you want to push it.